Hello everyone, this is Ketshi1383 with Ketshi Gaming, back again for God of War Ragnarok First Impressions. So, God of War Ragnarok is a direct sequel to God of War, which, not the first one, yeah, if you haven't played it before, they just called the last one God of War, even though there was already a God of War. But this time it takes place in the Nordic mythos, or sorry, Nordic pantheon, instead of Kratos rampaging through the Greek pantheon. And you could probably thank the God of War last one for the Assassin's Creed Ragnarok. Not exactly original, but I'm pretty sure it was inspired by that. So, does this game suffer some of the same issues that you see from sequels from other games? Let's say my example I like to go to are the Tomb Raider reboots, or I should say the Tomb Raider reboot, particularly the second one, in which there was almost no difference between the first Tomb Raider and the second Tomb Raider. They changed the setting, but not nearly enough to make that much of a difference, in which the gameplay was virtually identical, along with the story, with the only difference being changes to names. So it's not something that's easily avoided. For the most part, yes, this game does follow very similar mechanics compared to its predecessor. It is similar to its predecessor with similar mechanics, materials, and other things like that from the previous game, with some slight variations here and there. One notable thing is I haven't fought too many trolls, and I think they were very much aware of that because the one troll we did see was killed in a quick time event. Doesn't mean more won't come, but the one we did see was killed in a quick time event, compared to the last one where it was almost every boss. They actually have a variety of monsters and sub-bosses in this one. But this one doesn't have as much combat in it. And I think I have an idea why. Mainly because it's okay combat as far as I'm concerned. It suffers from... How do I explain this? When an enemy attacks you and you dodge back and it knows it can't reach you. So without actually animating the character moving, it will still move closer. So you get this weird either giant leap of movement or it just slides across the ground. And this game definitely suffers from that. Especially when it comes to the unblockable moves, which you're supposed to dodge. And they know that they're not within reach, so they cross that distance in a heartbeat. And it's very noticeable, even in this one. And it was in the last one as well. So I have a feeling they probably toned back the combat and put more emphasis on the puzzles and story. Definitely on the story. It is very story driven. And you don't play just as Kratos this time. You play as his son as well. So this time around, you don't just play Kratos. You play his son Atreus as well. And you also get Freya as a companion. It's complicated. You'll have to play to figure out why, for anyone who has played the last one and hasn't played this one, why they're working together. I'm not going to spoil it. That probably already spoiled it enough. But just play the game. You'll find out. So, I'll say overall, it is definitely a very pretty game. That is for sure. And I'm kind of wondering, because they put it on the PS4 as well, how much of this is being held back for the PS5 version. Like, how much of a better game could we be getting if we still aren't putting games out for the PS4? Don't get me wrong, it's huge difficulty getting PS5s for multiple reasons. But we could be getting a better game. And trust me, if I did not have a PS5, I know I'd be bitching about it if it was a PS5 exclusive. if I couldn't get a hold of one. So you can probably see on my screen, I am not great at the combat. You can tell that I'm really hurt, but this was actually partially due to a bit of a glitch in which I was running through a frozen spore cloud, and it didn't consider that it was still frozen, so it took all my health, and that's why I'm in that situation. But still, the combat is very unforgiving when you take hits. It also engages in one of my least other favorite forms of mechanics when it comes to combat, and that is flinch mechanics. Kratos will just sit there as they do a small combo on him and let him get hit in the face, instead of allowing the player, some agency to either bring up a shield or dodge out of the way. No, you got to take those hits first before Kratos regains his composure and is able to fight back. I have been in fights, but I haven't been in fights with axes or swords. But he's supposed to be a god. So I don't see why he would just sit there and let monsters beat him up nearly half to death with just one combo. But otherwise, yes, the story is engaging. The game looks amazing. The combat could use some work, and I'm doubting they'll actually do anything with it at this point. I suppose you could look at it as that the combat is challenging. Sure, why not? And if I really wanted to, I could drop it down a difficulty or two and have zero issues with the combat. And I'm pretty sure I could go through the whole entire game and get all the trophies, and not have an issue. But so far from what I'm getting the impression of, there is plenty to do, and I've only probably just scratched the surface of this game, and I know I have to backtrack a lot for some of these areas once I unlock certain abilities or items as I progress more through the game. So there's definitely a lot to do. And one of the things I like to look at when I buy games is how much time am I going to be spending playing this game for how much money I spent. One of the games that I liked a lot, but I felt like I spent way too much on, was Stray. It was $40, and I maybe got, if I didn't leave it paused for as long as I did, maybe 8 to 10 hours of actual play through the whole entire game, and maybe another 10-ish when I played it again, just to try and earn some trophies, because I thought about making a video on it. But by the time I thought about doing that, it was too late, and I scrapped that project. Anyways, I'm rambling. But yes, one of the things that I do care about is how much gameplay do I get out for the money I put into it. And if you're looking at that sort of value for your games, you're probably going to get your money's worth for this, and probably then some. And if you played the last God of War, you're probably going to like this one. I know I'm enjoying myself regardless of how challenging I find the combat. I like the story. I want to know what's going to happen. The game is pleasant to look at, even in the wintry scenes in Midgard. Right now, this is Vanaheim. It took me a while to remember. But you can see all the green. It's very pretty. It's kind of a jungle-ish. And for anyone who doesn't like the combat, yes, you can just drop it down a notch or two and be fine. But there's also a good many puzzles. I mean, they're not too difficult. They're kind of light puzzle elements. I'd be more correct in that assessment in terms of how difficult they are. So if you haven't played it, give it a try. Go ahead and pick this up, especially if you picked it up. You picked up the last one. Definitely play this one. You'll enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.